After September 11th, 2001, America had one burning question. How did we miss it? The CIA had data. The FBI had data. The NSA had so much data, it could wallpaper the Pentagon twice. But none of them talked to each other. Imagine four people holding different pieces of the same puzzle, sitting in different rooms, refusing to share. That's what happened. 3,000 people died because filing cabinets don't communicate. So a guy named Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, had an idea. He'd just spent years building software that caught credit card fraud by spotting weird patterns in millions of transactions. One day, he basically asked himself, if my algorithm can catch a guy buying flat-screen TVs in 3 states with a stolen visa, why can't it catch a terrorist buying plane tickets? Good question. Terrifying answer. He started a company. He named it Palantir, after the magical seeing stones in Lord of the Rings. You know, the glowing orbs that let you spy on the entire world. Subtle branding. Now here's where it gets interesting. Palantir's first investor wasn't some fancy Silicon Valley fund. It was In-Q-Tel, the CIA's personal venture capital arm. Yes, the CIA invests in startups. No, they don't send you a congratulations email. They send you a classified contract and a reminder to keep your mouth shut. Palantir took the money and got to work building a platform that could do something no government agency had ever pulled off. Take mountains of messy, disconnected information, emails, surveillance footage, phone records, flight logs, bank transfers, and stitch it all together into one clear picture. At the center of the operation was Alex Karp, a philosophy PhD with wild hair and wireframe glasses, who looked less like a tech CEO and more like a professor who forgot where he parked. Karp became the face of Palantir, while Thiel stayed in the background pulling strings. Karp liked to talk about ethics and responsibility. He told employees they weren't building a surveillance company, they were building understanding. That sounds beautiful in a TED Talk. It sounds a little different when your software is tracking people from space. Early Palantir was rough. The platform was buggy. Government agencies didn't trust it. The NSA thought it was a toy. The FBI thought it was a threat. Bureaucrats pushed back because that's what bureaucrats do. But Palantir kept building, kept improving, kept knocking on doors that didn't want to open. They weren't chasing money yet. They were chasing a mission. Then came the wars. By 2007, the US military was stuck in Iraq and Afghanistan, buried under a mountain of intelligence reports that nobody could read fast enough. Bombs were going off daily. Commanders had thousands of data points, but no way to connect them. Palantir stepped in with a system codenamed Gotham. It pulled together bomb locations, insurgent networks, phone records, and satellite imagery into one screen. You could literally trace a roadside bomb back to the guy who bought the phone that triggered it, the money that paid for it, and the people who planned it. Special forces started using it. Analysts couldn't work without it. Generals requested it by name. For the first time in military tech history, soldiers actually wanted the new software. Not because someone ordered them to use it, but because it kept them alive. But Washington is a strange place. While troops in the field were praising Palantir, officials back in DC were asking who invited these guys. Palantir had no lobbyists, no retired generals on the payroll, no steak dinners with procurement officers. When the Army tried to hand a massive intelligence contract to an old-school defense contractor without even considering Palantir, Thiel's company did something nobody expected. They sued the United States Army. A startup from Silicon Valley took the US military to court and won. A federal judge ruled the Army had broken the law by ignoring Palantir's technology. That moment changed everything. The defense industry realized this weird little company from California wasn't going away. After proving itself in war zones, Palantir started expanding. Immigration and Customs Enforcement signed on. The Department of Homeland Security followed. Suddenly, software designed to find bomb makers overseas was being used to track people inside the United States. Undocumented workers, their families, their social networks. The same technology that saved soldiers was now flagging someone's cousin because he rented a truck near a suspicious address. Civil rights groups lost their minds. Immigrant communities felt watched. Inside Palantir, some employees started pushing back. One engineer reportedly quit, saying he signed up to stop terrorists, not tear apart families. Letters leaked, protests bubbled, but the contracts kept coming. Then Palantir made its biggest pivot. For years, the company had positioned itself as above corporate America. They didn't mind user data like Google or Facebook. They built tools for governments that saved lives. Noble stuff, but governments move slowly. CEOs write checks fast. So Palantir launched a new product called Foundry. Think of Gotham, but wearing a business suit instead of combat boots. Foundry could plug into any company's data and tell executives exactly what to do. Shut down this factory, reroute these shipments, fire this department. Oil companies used it to optimize drilling. Pharmaceutical giants used it for drug trials. Hedge funds used it to predict markets before anyone else blinked. Within a few years, Palantir had quietly become the invisible brain behind some of the biggest corporations on the planet. Then 2020 happened. A global pandemic. Chaos everywhere. Governments are scrambling for answers. And there was Palantir already sitting at the table. The US government used Foundry to track outbreaks, manage vaccine distribution, and handle supply chains. Hospitals used it. Airlines used it. Even the British government relied on it to predict where the next equipment shortage would hit. Palantir had gone from a counterterrorism startup to the operating system of a global health crisis. The problem was, almost nobody outside the company understood how the system actually worked. It wasn't a spreadsheet you could audit. It was a black box making recommendations that affected millions of lives. That same year, Palantir went public, but not the normal way. No big roadshow, no flashy pitch to investors, just a quiet direct listing that basically said, hey, we're tradable now. When the numbers came out, Wall Street was confused. The company still wasn't profitable. Growth was modest. The financials were weird. But people bought in anyway. They weren't buying a spreadsheet company. They were buying the mythology, the secrecy, the idea that this one company somehow had its fingers in everything that mattered. If you've made it this far and haven't lost your mind yet, smash that like button and subscribe. More disasters coming soon. And then Russia invaded Ukraine. Palantir showed up. Not with soldiers or weapons, but with algorithms. The company helped Ukraine map Russian supply lines, coordinate artillery strikes, and predict drone attacks. They called it AI for warfighting, which is exactly the kind of phrase that sounds exciting and terrifying at the same time. Battlefield intelligence was no longer about a guy staring at satellite photos. It was software whispering. Aim here. Privacy advocates went ballistic. Civil liberties groups called Palantir a war profiteer, yet dressed up as a tech company. Critics pointed out that the same tools helping militaries were also helping police departments predict crime, helping border agents flag suspects, helping governments decide who to watch and who to trust. And none of it was transparent. Palantir's response was always the same. We built the tool. How people use it isn't our problem. We made the hammer. If someone hangs a painting or breaks a window, that's on them. Today, Palantir has moved beyond prediction. It wants to shape the future, not just forecast it. Its AI platforms can simulate economic collapses, disease outbreaks, and civil unrest before they happen. Governments use it for long-term planning. Corporations run entire supply chains through it. Palantir now calls itself the operating system for the modern enterprise. Some people think it's quietly becoming the operating system for entire nations. And that's the thing about Palantir. It started as an answer to a tragedy, a tool to connect the dots that nobody connected before September 11th. But tools have a habit of outgrowing the hands that built them. When one company knows more than your intelligence agencies, your generals, and your banks combined, the question stops being, what can it do? The question becomes, who's really in charge? Palantir started by promising to protect the world. Now it's helping run it. Whether that's a good thing depends entirely on who you ask and how much they know about what's actually happening behind the curtain.